So what we learned in a last session, that is the polymorphism example, and we seen the inheritance example. So today I'm going to explain and start what is an array, and on the basis of that we are going to start the first topic of unit and first practical of your first practical of your TY SY FYBSc Advanced Java. Not first practical, n number of practicals I'm going to do by choosing the generic collection. Okay. So what is the prerequisite? Is that you know the for loop, you must know for loop, you must know array. Then only you are able to understand the concept of what the collection. Yeah. Okay. So the collection is nothing but collection of what the something. Okay. So when you are collecting n number of variable, at that time either you are declaring those variables separately. So suppose I want to create 10 integer kind of what the variable. So I can write int a comma b comma c comma d comma e comma f comma g comma h comma I comma j up to what the 10th variable. So this is the one way, but you know you are declaring a similar kind of what the variable. Okay. So when you are declaring similar kind of variable, at that time people are uh, creating an array. Okay. So what is an array? Array is a linear data structure, we can say. Okay. So there are two kind of what the data structure. One is linear and another is non-linear. Okay. So what is data structure stands for? What is data means? Okay. So when you are talking about the data here, okay, so that data is nothing but the whatever the information, whatever the value you are taking and you are counting the information, and you keep on entering some I can say a value. For example, if I entering some value like so this is my box. Okay. And I keep on entering some numbers inside here. Okay, so that become a data here. Okay, so when you are entering a data like this, so if I keep on adding some numbers like 22 uh, comma 24 comma 23 comma 22 comma 24 comma 23 comma 22 comma 25 6 comma 25 comma 23 comma 22 24. I keep on writing such number. So it is a raw data, means उसको कोई मीनिंग नहीं है. Okay. I can give a meaning to what this data. So if I'm saying that these are the age, this is the age of what the FYMCA student who are admitting for MCA course. Okay, so when I'm saying this is the age of student, then whatever data you are looking at, that become information. Okay, so I can say that this is a raw data. Okay. And when you giving a meaning to what that raw data, that become a information. Okay. And every programming language actually working on some data. Okay. So a lot of analysis people wants to do on that information. Okay. And when the informations are uh, wants to analysis, at that time we required the some data analysis tool. Okay, so here we are seeing this is a raw data, and when you are giving some meaning to what that data is, some meaningful data, uh, and this meaningful data is known as information. So this is the difference between the information and data. Okay, so what information I give here? So I'm asking for age of what the student. I'm giving a label to what is data. Okay, that is the age of student. So if I'm firing a query and I want to find out something from it. Okay, so I'm firing a query. I want to know the number of student whose age is what the 23. So in that case, I need to process my data, and I need something called as a database management system. So when you want to apply something, processing the data, okay, so at that time your data structure is exist here. Okay, so to process the data, you need to collect that data, and you need such kind of what the tools who are responsible for collecting the data. So what kind of data structure application we people are using here? So data collection application we are using under a data structure is, we always searching a data, we always sorting a data, we always inserting a data and deleting a data. So insertion, deletion, searching, sorting are taking place in data structure. So whenever you learn data structure in any programming language, okay, these are the applications and algorithm you are supposed to be learning uh, in what that particular subject. So when you are talking about data structure with C and C++, when you are talking about data structure using Java, when you are talking about data structure using C sharp, so everywhere you are actually learning the searching technique, sorting technique, inserting technique, deleting technique. So this is a collection, everybody is providing a collection of data, and that is known as a structureful data you are actually collecting here. Okay, so previously and still now, the people are using uh, some database management system called as a relational database management system, RDBMS, because whatever the data, process data, you are creating actually frequency distribution table from that data. So table is nothing but it is collection of I can say, if you see the row as a unit in a table. Okay, so every row is actually one kind of what the record, and n number of records form a table here. Okay, so table is again the collection of data in a matrix form, and n number of tables you can create, and you can make a relationship between these two tables. Okay, and you can see the relationship. Okay, and there is a foreign key and the primary key kind of for the relationship, and you are going to collect a data by setting some constraints, so only valid data will occur or insert in what that data. So all those stuffs you are actually learning the under the database management system. Okay, so when you fetch and data, you are firing some query, and that is known as a SQL. Okay, so you people are calling these SQL. Okay, so SQL is a proper word all industries are using. Okay, SQL is nothing but SQL. Okay, structured query language, where the informations are get it is again standard query language. It's not a programming language here. Okay, because if you want to use a programming language, then in Oracle, then you have to apply programming language along with the SQL. Then the people are using PLSQL or TSQL if you are using Microsoft technology. Okay, so PLSQL, TSQLs are nothing but SQL language is providing the programming language support. Okay, so nowadays the data is so big, Okay, so what is big data means? Big data is that data which is we are not able to process by using a simply processing tools which is available under the data structure. Okay, so it is difficult to process the data. You have to do n number of what the uh, you have to do something called as a data cleansing. Okay, and you are filtering a data from those big data, and big data is actually is not a structure like SQL. So all nowadays you are facing the unstructured data kind of one, the environment, and all the data are actually in a form of unstructured here. Unstructured means no structure is there where people are able to fetch the data. So that's why we need not only SQL environment. Okay, so not only SQL environment means SQL environment only handling the structured data, and not only SQL is handling structure as well as um, the unstructured data, and such kind of database management system is called as a NoSQL. Okay, so NoSQL is nothing but not only SQL. That doesn't mean NoSQL means SQL नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं है, उसमें SQL भी रहता है. ओके, और एसक्यूएल नहीं भी रहता है. दैट इज because those data are in a document forms. Okay, so MongoDB is a famous database management system we people are using, okay, in a background. Okay, and nowadays everybody is using a MongoDB. If time permits, I will give you the configuration of explain your configuration of MongoDB. I have used in some of my project. Okay, and I create a API for MongoDB where automatic constraint string is created, and n number of parameters I can pass to those API, and that will uh, connect create a possible connection between my front end and what the back end here. Okay, so in back end we people are using a MongoDB, n number of database available. Oracle is there, Sybase is there, Ingress is there, Postgres SQL is there, and MongoDB are there. Okay, so Oracle and MySQL or MySQL are popular in RDBMS. Rather, MongoDB is popular in the NoSQL environment or unstructured or document type of environment. Okay, so people always now looking for those students who are knowing the all those stuff, and people can knowing data structure, then along with the object oriented programming concept, then the companies are ready to take such kind of order people because they find that they are productive and they are coachable. Okay, so it's not question of how many percentage you have got in your what do you call in your MCA or in TY. If you are not technically strong, and if you not pass in technical interview, people will not select you because what they find that you are not knowing the basic term of object oriented programming or the data structure, and that is the reason these are the two subject always available in every syllabus, whether you learn MCA or BSc IT or BSc computer science. Okay, so people must know a data structure. तो ये सी आउटडेटेड है, सी प्लस प्लस आउटडेटेड है, ये जो रूमर्स आप फैलाते हो और कुछ मालूम नहीं इंडस्ट्री के बारे में, एंड यू स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट सम सब्जेक्ट्स आर आउटडेटेड. आउटडेटेड कुछ नहीं है. नॉलेज नॉलेज होता है, और उसका बेस कहाँ से, तो हमें क्रिएट करना पड़ता है। आप डायरेक्टली ट्वेल्थ का एग्जाम नहीं दे सकते हो जब तक आप फर्स्ट स्टैंडर्ड, सेकंड स्टैंडर्ड, थर्ड स्टैंडर्ड पास करते हो, और 10th स्टैंडर्ड पास करने के बाद आप ट्वेल्थ का एग्जाम दे सकते हो। So these are the steps you have to know and you have to follow here. So let us move to the concept of an array here. So I'm choosing the concept where we are saying that array is a collection of what similar kind of what the data under one name. Okay, so if you see, uh, so this is the collection of what data under one name means what. So these are the anonymous variable, इनका नाम ही नहीं रहता है। ओके, तो व्हाट इज एन एरे नेम? तो हमेशा हम बोलते हैं कि एरे नेम इज अ होल्डिंग अ बेस एड्रेस ऑफ व्हाट द एंटायर एरे। ओके, तो ध्यान में रखो ये एरे नेम है व्हेन आई एम सेइंग आई वांट टू डिक्लेयर एन एरे इन C++। So if you are declaring an array here, and when you are saying int number into bracket, you are writing a 10 here. That doesn't mean there are 10 variable is there, that is right, but you are not saying that this is number 0, this is number 1, this is number uh, 2 and 3 4 5 kind of। okay, you can't give a name like this। okay, तो इसका मतलब क्या है? सो दैट मतलब वी आर गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड राइट नाउ। व्हाट इज दिस? दिस इज नथिंग बट द, आई कैन से, the reference, and it's holding the base address of what? An array। okay, so this is a reference. So that means you are going to learn these in future, or if you learn core Java properly, then you understand properly that this is nothing but the pointer or reference of what. Array name is a reference of holding the address of first variable of base address, holding a base address, okay, of an array. So it's holding a base address of an array here. So let me show with the diagram, okay, how we are actually how the things are taking place inside the memory. So every time whenever a memory is used and whenever you load an application, okay, at that time there is a process assigned to that each and every application। okay, if you know, every operating system excuse me, taking care of what the each and every application is reporting to operating system। you know the structure of operating system here, and if you see, so there is a always at the core there is a hardware, okay, and your hardware contains the all kind of what the hardware input devices as well as output devices here, okay, and all input and output devices are there. Your CD-ROM is there, and your keyboard, mouse, everything is there, okay, and your USB and your hard drive use which is there inside your machine। so hardware, to run a hardware, people who are writing the operating system, who are always create the one more layer on this hardware, and that is nothing but a kernel here, okay। so if you look at that, the kernel is on the top next layer of what the hardware layer। so इसलिए आपको हमेशा ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम ऑलवेज कम्स विथ समथिंग HAL। HAL means hardware architecture layer here, okay। So when you are using hardware layer, the kernel is available, and the responsibility of what the kernel is a memory management, input output management, and thread management, and the process management is there. So kernel, whomsoever is writing the the colonel is an important person in army. Likewise, whomsoever is creating the operating system, he is writing a kernel first. Okay, and he is distributing that kernel to the people who are writing the application, which is based on that kernel. Okay, so kernel is taking care of what all those stuff here. So when you are that's why Linus Torvalds is a person who wrote a kernel initially, and he created a Linux operating system. And there is a Richard Stallman who started the open source movement, and Linus Torvalds give a free kernel. And therefore that is the reason there are n number of versions of Linux operating system you people are getting. Everyone is writing the application which is based on kernel. So the behavior is in same, only the interface is what different. So either you are using Red Hat, Ubuntu, or some other Linux operating system, everyone is kernel is what the same. Okay, whenever kernel is comes, then kernel is using interacting with the uh, hardware directly, because the next layer is after hardware is kernel. So kernel is interacting with the hardware, whatever inputs coming from the keyboard or the mouse. So kernel will send across these uh, particular kernel is sending these signals across the particular application via something called as a shell. Okay, so if you see द कर्नल के पास, ये प्रोसेस मैप मैं क्यों सिखा रहा हूँ, क्योंकि ये ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम इसे इसे लेना देना है कलेक्शन का. सो दैट्स व्हाई आई एम शोइंग. So after kernel, there is something called as a shell here. Okay, so each operating system has a shell. If you are good in Linux, then you know there are bash, okay, born again shell, bash, tc shell, k shell, n number of shells that Linux operating system is rich in security compared to Windows operating system. Okay, लोगों को CLI environment पसंद नहीं है, इसलिए लोग लिनक्स में उनको समझता नहीं बहुत सारा. Okay, Mac is using a Linux, your Android is using a Linux in the background. Android, Mac are, I can say it is a different kind of forms of what the Linux operating system. Okay, uh, so if you see the shell kernel, Windows also has a two shell here. So if you look at the something called as a command. Okay, so it's giving a some blank screen here. Okay, so this is 16-bit command prompt. I can say it is a command shell, and if you want to use a 32-bit uh, command shell, then you are going to write cmd here. Okay, so this is 32-bit command shell. Initially when I start my career as a computer programmer, I work as a DTP operator initially, and graphics designer, because at that time those softwares are popular. Okay, and I'm running CDAC authorized training center, and CDAC is not a government or organization at that time. Okay, and after once we start the supercomputer at that time, government merged with means government actually invite the CDAC to create the user interface or Indian language environment for computer. Okay, so whatever the Marathi, Hindi, Tamil characters you people are using, You feel that it is developed by Microsoft? No, no. In 1987, CDAC, Center for Development of Advanced Computing, who create the all Indica font, and then Microsoft Oracle is actually uh, using those form in their database here. So I have seen all kind of development, and I was a part of what the training from 1998 to 2006. I'm the person who are delivering the training on Indian regional language, and I'm showing how the programming is possible by using Indian regional language. So that is the reason when I'm typing something in Marathi, so it is or Hindi, or it is possible for me to type Hindi environment or create the Hindi environment and Marathi environment. So data you can collect in Indian regional language also, and Oracle and even all other stuffs are able to use this data in all languages. Okay, so languages options are available there. Okay, so after shell there is something called as a, and if you see the next layer, the application here. So shell is interacting with the application, but you people think that application is running because of we are clicking on icon here. Okay, so user is sitting behind the application, so user comes in this layer afterward. Okay, and this is application is running through always shell, and user is sitting here and who is interacting with the application, and those layers are passed one after another, and they reach at hardware signals where interaction is taking place. So if you want to see, if I simply write and type a notepad here, so notepad is going to start here. Okay, you don't need to click on icon on notepad. So if you know the executable file name, you can use those file here. So if I simply write ms paint, so it's going to start my paintbrush here. Okay, so if I'm starting a word here, so it's going to start ms word. It's I have to check the word executable file here. Okay, because I have to check for those which is a third party or Microsoft environment, which is executable file is in specific mode. So what I'm trying to tell you, the shell is responsible for running the application here. So once the application is run, then there are, for each application there are process are taking place here. Okay, and uh, all this concept of static, dynamic, everything is going to clear right now. So please pay attention whatever I'm explaining right now. It is very very important because it is taking place in every programming language. So there is a process map, and every process are taking place or running through the every application. So when application is get load, okay, inside the memory. Okay, so there are n number of what the areas are divided into what the memories here. Okay, the first is nothing but a data where the data is get stored. Okay, and these are the area where data is stored in that memory. So there are global data and the static data. Still the people confuse between the static and the global. So please understand these are the two different environment here. So when you are talking about data initialization and data, so data are always there are two separate area for the static and the global variable. Okay, so here I'm showing all the global variables are resides here. Okay, and whenever you are declaring the variable inside the any programming language, so it's occupying some initialization or space, memory space in this particular area. Okay, so global variable are stored here. Okay, and there is another area where the static variables are stored. So when you define the variable as a static, at that time the static variables are resides at some other area. Okay, so if you see, so this is the area where the static variables are resides and initialization is taking place. Then where the local variables are resides, yeah, so local variables are available under something called as a stack here. Okay, so there is a stack. So stack is nothing but it is actually creating it's like a cupboard. Okay, cupboard. When you are saying this is a stack of what, a certain function here. Okay, so here you understood the difference between the scope life of the variable here. Okay, so whenever you define a method, whenever you define a function, so there are each and every stack has the each function has a different stack here. Okay, so let us talk about the main and some function called as an add here. Okay, so when I'm using, this is my main function, and that main function has some local variable. Okay, so I can use this main function in C or in C++, uh, and in Java that is called as a main method here. So whenever you declare a main function here, and inside that you are declaring something. Okay, here uh, a variable, and those variables are under a main stack. So the life, and it's a one kind of what the room, you people are sitting in one room. Okay, and when I entered in that room, at that time you are visible to me. Okay, and you are the other people's rooms, other people in another room I can't see because I'm not having the control, or I'm not entered in that room. Okay, so if I'm saying this is a main variable and this is another method called as add, and I want to do addition of two number here. Okay, so this is a main and this is a add function here, and when I'm saying this is an add function where I'm saying I'm requesting, being as a main, I'm requesting to add, can you add a data? Okay, can you add, do addition for me? Okay, so either I can do addition by my own, or I can ask someone to do my work. Okay, so being as a main, I'm asking someone to do my work, and this guy is saying that if you want to add a two number, so can you provide those number to me? Okay, so these are the two numbers I declare locally here as a num1 and num2, and I want to keep a result besides that, and this is my result variable. So there are three variables, so I'm sending these two variable uh, okay, across the other function called as add here. So if you see, my add function is calling those variable, okay, by value. So I'm saying it is something called as a call by value. तो ऐड बोलेगा यार मेरे को वो वेरिएबल का कंटेंट्स दे दो. So so it's calling those value here. Okay, either this variable is calling those value, or this variable is this function is passing this value here. So people are calling this call by value or pass by value here. Okay, so it depends upon the function declaration here. Okay, so when you sending those parameters across the function, at that time the life of what these two variable are exist within this main, and when the control goes to add, at that time we are losing the content. So we don't want to lose the content, so in that case the people are sending those value across the एज अ पैरामीटर हियर। तो कभी भी इन दोनों के नाम हम अलग तरीके से लिखते हैं और वेरिएबल उस हिसाब से दिया जाता है। सो इफ आई एम सेइंग आई एम पासिंग दिस पैरामीटर टू व्हाट एज अ मैसेज टू माय ऐड फंक्शन हियर। ओके, तो ये मेरा एक फंक्शन है, ये दूसरा फंक्शन है, और main is always calling n number of order functions here. So this is another parameter which I am passing here. Okay, and when we are passing this variable here, the life and scope are exist when the control goes here. तो यहाँ पे value आ जाएगा और बाद में based on this value the result is what uh, actually find by whom this add function. Now functions want to return that value. Okay, so the function is returning the value here, and it is going to return the value here. So I'm showing this function is returning the value here. Okay, and those values are here. I'm showing so it's returning a value here. So I'm showing in dotted form here. Please remember function limitation here. The function cannot return more than what one value. It is always returning a one value here. तो हमेशा फंक्शन हमेशा एक ही वैल्यू रिटर्न करता है, सिंगल वैल्यू. ओके, सो फंक्शन ऑलवेज रिटर्न a single value. So that is a limitation of what the function that you already learn and you are going to learn in my core Java video here. So function limitation is or method limitation. Okay, it is always written a single value here. So how you overcome this limitation, that I'm going to explain. So always return a single value here. So it's returning a single value here, and that's why I'm showing. So if I want to add two numbers, so my variable are something 12 and 13, and that value is get passed here as a num1 num2, and suppose this variable is a and b and this is num1 num2. So addition is taking place, 12 and 13 are make the result as a 25, and that 25 result is returned to here, and min is showing only a result. Min is not concerned how the things are taking place here. Okay, so if you feel that these guys may change the value here, okay, while information is get pass, information जब पास हो जाएगी यहाँ पे, तो ये शाणे लोग वैल्यू को चेंज कर सकते हैं, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं करना है. तो at that time he is using a constant keyword, okay, before passing that parameter. So you are saying you are not supposed to change the value, so I'm passing this as a constant value here. Okay, so people are sending the constant keyword to us. So you know so this is something called as a call by value, और ये call by value से प्रोसेस मैप में ये सब चीज होती है. Okay, so all are value type of variable. Okay, and value type of variable always resides at inside the stack. Okay, and there is something called as a reference type of variable, and there is a huge memory is reserved or available, and that variable is reside this allocate a memory at what the runtime. Okay, and therefore we are calling this as a heap. ओके, तो प्रोसेस मैप में ये सब हीप फॉर्म में रहेगा, और हीप फॉर्म में ऑलवेज ऑल रेफरेंस वेरिएबल और पॉइंटर्स वेरिएबल्स आर रिसाइड्स. अगर आप सी प्लस प्लस की बात कर रहे हो तो आपको सब वेरिएबल उस हिसाब से आप बोलोगे कि यार पॉइंटर तो जावा में नहीं है. सी पॉइंटर रेफरेंस वेरिएबल बिहेवियर इज सेम. ओके, इज जस्ट लाइक अ थम्स अप एंड पेप्सी. दोनों बेकार लगते हैं, लेकिन ऑलमोस्ट पीपल have a choice what kind of languages they want to use and occupy the value type or reference type variable. ओके, तो यहाँ पे हम लोग ये बोल सकते हैं कि दिस इज अ रेफरेंस वेरिएबल or which keeping the address of what the other variable here. So in Java, the array is an reference variable. Rather in C++, array is not a reference variable. It is a value type variable. So you can create the dynamic array in Java directly. But in case of C and C++, if you want to create a dynamic array, you have to use a new operator here. So new keyword you people are using. Okay, means you are creating a reference variable, not a value type variable. So what is the advantage of reference variable? So let me show those reference variable part here. So when I'm declaring an array, okay, so it's a collection of an variable. So I'm saying num1, num2, num3, num4, and these are the five variable I declare, and which variable has an address here. So I'm just showing zooming this particular. Okay, so here I'm using 1001 is it's for your reference. I'm showing the value as 1001 here. So it is always in hex form. हेक्स में रहते हैं, इसलिए हम यहाँ पे हेक्स वैल्यू नहीं, अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए आई एम जस्ट टेकिंग this is an address that is 1001. This is an address of my variable 1. This is an address of my variable 2, and if it is integer type, I know the size of an integer is 4 bytes in Java, so the next address is 1005 here. Okay, so if every variable is occupying 4 bytes, so I have to give those 4 bytes, I can say the 4 bytes allocation here. So next is something 9 and then 10. Okay, 13. So and after that these are the address, and the next is something called as a 10. Okay, 17. So all these are variable declare, and the name itself is who are holding, and it is resides at the here in a memory. Okay, so this is my array name. So I'm choosing a name. Okay, so name is the name of what my array. So I'm saying it is a number. So I'm showing if it is a number. Let me edit this text. So it is a number here. Okay, so this is my number which is resides at my stack, not in the heap. Okay, and I simply put the address of what the first variable. Okay, so when I'm referring this to the first variable here, so the my responsibility is to 1 minute. So let me use this. Let me move. Okay, so this is my variable which is resides at declare inside the stack under some function, and when I'm declaring at that time the it's taking care of what all the, so it's only holding the address of what the first variable as a reference. तो कोई क्लास में एक बंदा बैठा हुआ है, और इस बंदे को ओके इसका नाम है अशोक सपोज. ओके, और इस क्लास में n number of people who are sitting, okay, in a row and a column. ओके, तो मैं बोल सकता हूँ कि इस बंदे का नाम मुझे मालूम है, तो मैं बोल सकता हूँ कि अशोक के राइट में मुझे जो बंदा है, मुझे इस दूसरे बंदे की नाम जानने की जरूरत नहीं, मुझे खाली अशोक का नाम मालूम है, तो मैं बोलूंगा कि अशोक के राइट में जो पहला लड़का है वो खड़ा हो जाए। ओके, तो मैं उसको एक्सेस कर सकता हूं अशोक का रेफरेंस लेके, और मैं बोलूंगा अशोक के अ, दो स्टेप आगे चल के, राइट स्टेप आगे चल के जो दूसरा बंदा खड़ा है उसका नाम मुझे चाहिए। तो एवरी टाइम आई एम गोइंग टू गिव अ रेफरेंस ऑफ व्हाट माय बेस रेफरेंस। ओके, जो भी बेस है उसका मैं एक रेफरेंस लेके मैं ये करूंगा। सो प्लीज रिमेंबर, व्हेन यू आर सेइंग दैट नंबर जीरो inside it, okay, that means you are saying you want to access a number of steps from the reference variable. Okay, so this is nothing but a number of steps. Remember, please understand this. The term which I am using right now, it is very very important. Okay, so आप बोलते हो कि इस रेफरेंस वेरिएबल से मुझे कितना स्टेप एक्सेस करना है। ओके, सो इट इज अ नंबर ऑफ स्टेप्स, इट्स नॉट अ वेरिएबल, इट इज नॉट अ वेरिएबल नेम। आप रेफरेंस वेरिएबल से बोल सकते हो कि कितने स्टेप मूव करना है। तो अभी आपको आंसर पता चलेगा कि व्हाई इंडेक्सिंग ऑलवेज स्टार्टिंग विद जीरो। आपको एडे जैसा आंसर मिला होगा हर एक फैकल्टी से कि कि सी प्लस प्लस में या सी में हमेशा इंडेक्सिंग जीरो से। अरे मेरे को फर्स्ट एलिमेंट एक्सेस करना है तो मुझे वहां वन नंबर लिखना चाहिए। तुम लोग जीरो से इंडेक्सिंग स्टार्ट करते हो, उसका प्रॉपर आंसर दे दो ना मुझे। तो लोग बोलते हैं नहीं, हाँ इंडेक्सिंग तो जीरो से ही शुरू। एक्चुअली इट इज नथिंग टू डू विथ व्हाट द जीरो, यू कैन एक्सेस अ -1 डेटा। यानी कि इस बंदे को यहाँ राइट लेफ्ट में भी कुछ लोग या कुछ मेमोरी एक्सेस है, वो वहां की भी एक्सेस कर सकता है। ओके, तो -1 लोकेशन भी है। ओके, ये हम जब इंडेक्सिंग की बात करेंगे या -1 लोकेशन की बात करेंगे तब हमें पता चलेगा यार, इट इज नॉट इंडेक्सिंग, इट इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज ऑफसेट। ओके, तो ऑफसेट और इंडेक्सिंग में फर्क है। हम लोग जो फॉर लूप में सेट करते हैं वो ऑफसेट सेट करते हैं, हम उसको इंडेक्स वेरिएबल बोलते हैं। ओके, लेकिन जिसने सी लैंग्वेज क्रिएट किया, ओके, जिसका नाम है डेनिस रिची, ओके, उसका अगर आप बुक पढ़ोगे तो ये कंसेप्ट आपको वहां से मिलेगा। Okay, so when I taught C language at that time, I'm especially explain this process map and all other stuffs here. So when you check the number, so automatically आपको पता चलेगा कि ये number of step है। ओके, तो पहला एलिमेंट एक्सेस करना है तो आई डोंट वांट टू मूव, सो इन दैट केस आई पुट अ जीरो हियर। तो सेकंड एलिमेंट एक्सेस करना है तो मैं बोलूंगा मेरे रेफरेंस नंबर से जो 1001 वहां से मुझे 2 स्टेप मूव करना है। ओके, या 1 स्टेप मूव करना है। 0 स्टेप मीन्स द करंट वेरिएबल, 1 स्टेप मीन्स द नेक्स्ट। So in that case I'm going to access second, I'm going to access third, fourth, fifth। तो आपको इधर पता चलेगा कि जीरो क्यों स्टार्ट होता है। सो इट इज नंबर ऑफ स्टेप्स, नॉट अ वेरिएबल। इन वेरिएबल को नाम ही नहीं रहते हैं। ओके, दैट आई विल शो यू एट द टाइम ऑफ डिबगिंग, कि आपको पता चलेगा इन वेरिएबल को नाम नहीं रहते हैं। जिन लोगों ने भी आपको ये गलत फहमियां दी है, ओके, तो प्लीज क्लियर दैट। सो नंबर ऑफ जीरो, जिस तरह से आप बोलते हो ये नंबर ऑफ जीरो है, फिर ये नंबर ऑफ वन है, तो ये वेरिएबल के नाम है। तो वेरिएबल के नाम नहीं है, हम बोल सकते हैं कि रेफरेंसेस है जो बेस एड्रेस से क्या हो गए हैं। और बेस एड्रेस हमेशा रिसाइड्स एट व्हाट द स्टैक, और हीप में हम डायनामिक एड्रेसेस बना सकते हैं। सो whatever primitive data type and the data type which you are talking about, so this is something you people are thinking about an array inside what the Java. So when you are declaring an array, तो पूरा array अलग तरीके से हम यहाँ पे decide कर सकते हैं. So if I'm using an array here, so I'm just choosing a revision and new class here, and I'm giving a name as a understand array here. Okay, and once I explain the array, then only you are going to understand the collection here, and you are going to understand the actual use of collection here. So if I'm declaring an array, so you know why this is also one kind of array here. Why they are not putting the value inside? Because they want to generate a dynamic thing here. So array declaration in Java is something different. Is like this. So when if I'm declaring array like the way we are declare in other variable here. So here I'm declaring an array and I'm saying int. Okay, and the name of array is, if I'm seeing int number 10, I can't declare an array like this. So such kind of declaration is not acceptable here, because it is not a static variable, it is a reference variable. So you always put an empty box here, and you are going to say that how many elements you want to declare. So you have to declare so new and int, and here you are mentioning you want to initialize the 10 variable here. So array variable you can put here. Yeah, so you can declare or create a dynamically, and you can pass the x value from the user, and when you are declaring x, and when you are passing the value here as a x, so x declaration must be there, and if you are assigning the value at that time, you keep on assigning this value and generating the dynamic variable here. Okay, so all the references are there, and when I'm declaring a 5 here, so it's occupying a 5 elements inside an array. So I'm stopping here. In next class I'm going to start with the collection by showing the array is nothing but it is a one kind of what the collection, and you can generate a array list. So we are going to create our array of similar kind. So array is a collection of similar kind of variable. So what if I want to collect a dissimilar kind of what the collection? Okay, so can I do that? The answer is yes. You can create a collection of what the class. You can define your own data type. You can define the create a collection of what that data type, and you can access the data member of what that when you want to create. If you create a student class and it has a data member like roll number, percentage, name, and age, so you can create array of student list, and that is the reason your WhatsApp messages and the WhatsApp contacts are actually based on generic collection. Okay, so what is generic and what are those things, I'm going to explain in next class.